It is Saturday, the 1st of June, 2024. My name is Pigeon Rose, and this is my song of the day. Holy hell, it's already been over a month doing this show. That's wild. I struggled so much with committing to finally making this, and now that I'm finally making it, I'm not saying I find it easy, but it's certainly more manageable than I had kind of psyched myself out about it being. And I'm glad that I've made it to over a month now. That's the start of June, and we started on the 29th of April. It's a pretty good fucking progression. I've stuck to it. Yippee! Anyway, so we're continuing Boy Genius Week here with a return to Phoebe Bridgers. This song is called I Know the End. I've talked about Phoebe Bridgers' background already. This song is from her second album, Punisher, which was released in 2020. It's the final track on the album, which makes the title quite fitting, and she has commented on it being funny to end an album with a song called I Know the End, especially because it was released as a single, so before listening to the album, I knew how the album would end. This song, kind of similarly to what I was talking about with the progression from Julianne's first album to her second album, this song is way bigger in sound than Phoebe's first album, and it's a really cool progression. I love the sound of the second album, really, and this song is a good exemplifier of that. So we're going to listen to it now. Again, I recommend the video if you want to watch it, but you don't have to. I am going to talk about it, but not much, I don't think. Let's listen to it now and come back and talk about it in a few minutes. I've said it once and I'll say it again. What a finale to an album. So much so that this would have been the Sunday song, but you'll understand why I picked the Sunday song when we get there. I've also said before, and we'll say again, that I love a song that has distinct sections, and this has the quiet part of the start, and then it builds up, and then you have the screaming ending. Love that shit. But yeah, so as you may have inferred from the lyrics and the music video and the title, this song is about the apocalypse, the end of the world. And it takes kind of an interesting look at it because it feels very tied into Americana. And I don't mean the genre of music, I just mean Americanness. Because I'm not American, as I'm sure you can tell from my accent. Phoebe is. And what I've noticed with a lot of people in general, but creatives as well, specifically, because I consume their content, they tend to have this view of the world that's very specifically American in a way of like the way they talk about culture and memories and stuff. Like they have these specific things that are very American and they don't realize just how American they are. And we'll get into that when we talk about the second section of the song. But let's start from the start here. So it opens with somewhere in Germany, but I can't place it. Man, I hate this part of Texas, which made me laugh the first time I listened to it, and it still does. This is an in-joke. It was something that one of her crew members said on tour. They were in Europe. They got off the tour bus. It was raining. And he said, damn, I hate this part of Texas. But apparently this is like an old in-joke. It's like a graffiti thing you see in concert venue dressing rooms. And apparently it was Conor Oberst's old tour manager who said that. They get off the bus and wherever they were, he'd say, I hate this part of Texas. That's from a tweet. It's just a funny joke. I love shit like that. I hate this part of Texas. And you say it anywhere except for Texas, right? We get the next bit. Close my eyes, fantasize, 3 clicks, and I'm home. You might immediately grok that that's a reference to The Wizard of Oz, and this comes up a few times. When I get back, I'll lay around, then I'll get up and lay back down, romanticize a quiet life. There's no place like my room. It's about wanting to be home again, right? But Phoebe has specifically said it's about when you're on tour, hating that you're on tour and wanting to go home, and then you go home and you're like, oh, I hate being at home, I want to go on tour. It's that kind of self-contradictory thing, which is what, romanticize a quiet life. This idea of, oh, I just want a quiet life, and then you have a quiet life, and you're like, this is boring. And Phoebe said specifically, like, she got things to do gardening, and then just never did it. It's how it works. I want to say, like, oh, it's how it works for us millennials, because I'm, like, only a few months difference in age from Phoebe. But, yeah, I relate. ADHD be like. And then you get the chorus. But you had to go. I know, I know, I know. Like a wave that crashed and melted on the shore. Not even the burnouts are out here anymore. And you had to go. I know, I know, I know. It sounds like it could be a relationship breaking up. Or it could be someone going on tour. Or it could be someone going on home, Or because it's a song about the end of the world, it could be about going as in dying, You had to go, you had to leave us. And it brings in that apocalypse imagery with not even the burnouts are out here anymore, showing it's kind of an unusual situation, Then out in the park, we watched the sunset, talking on a rusty swing set. After a while, you went quiet and I got mean. Phoebe has said specifically that she used to sneak out of the house and sit on a rusty swing set just to feel like she had gone outside and done something. Yikes, that's quite sad. I'm always pushing you away from me, but you came back with gravity, and when I call, you come home, a bird in your teeth. I love this. I think I talked about this with Sprained Ankle, I think. Couching like kind of violent or dark imagery with sweetness, because the melody has not changed from the first verse, and she's singing it quite softly, and it's just guitar at this point, you know. But that thing, like, you know, about pushing the person away, but they come back with gravity, you know, that thing of the person was coming back. And when I call, you come home, a bird in your teeth. It feels very like, on the one hand, a cat brings you a bird because it's trying to provide for you. It's trying to give you something nice that you need, i.e. food. But it does come across as a violent image, like you come home with something that you think I need, but I don't, you know? And then you get the second chorus, so I gotta go. I know, I know, I know. When the sirens sound, you'll hide under the floor, but I'm not gonna go down with my hometown in a tornado. I'm gonna chase it. I know, I know, I know. I gotta go now. I know, I know, I know. So when the sirens sound, you'll hide under the floor is presumably referring to like a panic room or a, what do you call it? A bomb shelter. But it does specifically make me think of that, a very American thing, active shooter drills and bomb drills, like when they're trained in school to hide under their tables, which is the most depressing fucking dystopian thing you can ever think of. Unheard of in Ireland, like, or just the wider world in general. So it's what that makes me think of, although it's more so referring to like bomb shelters, I would assume. And then I'm not going to go down with my hometown in a tornado is again a Wizard of Oz reference, because of course, you know, we're not in Kansas anymore. And then she says she's going to chase the tornado. So then it leads into this last bit, which feels like someone just like driving directly into the heart of the apocalypse, which is an interesting, you could think of it as pessimistic, right? Well, I think it's more nihilistic. It's more like a sort of, the world is ending, fuck it, we ball, you know? Let's drive into the center of a tornado. So then we get this last bit here where it builds up over time, and I love this. You got the drums coming in, you got the bass, you got the brass. Driving out into the sun, let the ultraviolet cover me up, went looking for a creation myth, ended up with a pair of cracked lips. Phoebe has never been religious, she has said this, and this makes me think like about someone trying to find religion and ending up worse for it or neutral for it. Ending up with a pair of cracked lips makes me think of thirst specifically, so it's like you were thirsty for more, you know, it just left you thirsty. Windows down, scream along to some America First rap country song. She's explained that she like knows all the words to Toby Keith songs, which she hates, but you know. Oh well. A slaughterhouse, an outlet mall, slot machines, fear of God. It's just listing things at this point, presumably that you're passing in the car, but this is what I mean by being very American. An outlet mall, slot machines, and the America First rap country song. It just feels like driving through an American countryside that I can picture when you say American countryside to me, you know? Windows down, heater on, big bolt of lightning hanging low. Over the coast, everyone's convinced it's a government drone or an alien spaceship. I mean, you know, if we're talking about the apocalypse, people are going to think of conspiracies. A government drone or an alien spaceship is such common fodder for conspiracies, you know? And then following that up with either way, we're not alone, which is an interesting perspective on that. If the government's watching us or the aliens, well, we're not alone. You know, calling back to Exist by Avenged Sevenfold, you know? But I'll find a new place to be from. A haunted house with a picket fence to float around and ghost my friends. I love that line. It's my favorite line in the song, probably. It's so silly. It's kind of a silly joke, but I enjoy it. You know, a haunted house, dark imagery, with a picket fence, nice imagery. To float around and ghost my friends. You'd assume she means haunt, but ghost has a specific meaning, so it's a funny double meaning, you know. No, I'm not afraid to disappear. The billboard said the end is near. I turned around, there was nothing there. Yeah, I guess the end is here. So, like, she drove past this billboard that says the end is near, and when she looked back, there was nothing on it, because it was on the other side. And so the idea, it's like a road sign, like, you know, the end, this way. And so she's passing that. She's like, well, I guess the end is here, because we're past the end is near sign. And then the outro is just repeating, the end is here, and building up and building up and building up, and then screaming. And it's great. And then when it fades out, you hear like Phoebe just going like, which is like, it's the noise that people make when they're imitating crowd noise. It's like fake crowd noise, which is interesting to end the song on, because you have the whole bombastic sound of it, and then it just ends with like this really like fake small sound. But I like that as an ending. Musically, I want to point out, by the way, I mean, everything I already said about how much I like it, but this song features a lot of collaborators who worked on the rest of the album and other songs, other projects with Phoebe. She's in a bunch of different things, not just boygenius. One of those people is Connor Oberst. We've talked about before in this show. I talked about At the Bottom of Everything by Bright Eyes. And when the trumpets come in and the brass comes in for the latter half of this, it really makes me think of Bright Eyes for some reason. Or like Quiet Company, actually. God, I need to talk about Quiet Company in this show. I fucking love Quiet Company. The music video has her. It's weird. It's surreal. Wikipedia compared it to David Lynch, which I can kind of see, honestly. She sees a young girl, and then at the end she sees an old woman. I would assume it's supposed to imply that's her, like, at different ages. And then it ends with her and the old woman screaming at each other and then making out, which is, if it's supposed to represent older her, it's like an acceptance of what's to come. Like, the end is here. Like, kind of the representation of driving into the heart of the tornado, just, like, loving your old self, right? I don't have too much to say on the video, actually. Although I do enjoy, you see the band playing at the end. One of them is, they're all wearing the skeleton onesies that became iconic with this era of Phoebe Bridgers' career and the album promotion and all that. But Christian Lee Hudson is playing the bass, who is a musician who's worked with Phoebe, and I'll talk about his solo albums as well because I love them. But he's wearing like a Phoebe silver wig, which I enjoy. Also, I want to briefly talk about, she did this song, so this album came out in 2020, so Tiny Desk Concert that I mentioned before started doing online things where people would record themselves at home or in a studio and then send it in as long as there was a desk. And so she did like a thing with like a Oval Office set where she's dressed as the president, and then at the end when the screams come, well, the gang vocals and then the screams, it's all pipped in videos, presumably of fans. I don't actually know who all the people are, but it's just like them all screaming. And I really like that effect. I'll definitely link that below. She also famously smashed a guitar on a prop amp on SNL and drove rock hipsters bonkers, which is hilarious. Fucking idiots, old people. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I think that's pretty much what I have to say about the song. Really love it, really love the vibe, really love the lyrics. Just really interesting imagery throughout, great musical sound, and the end scream is so cathartic. Love singing along to this song. It's a great song for road trips. I mean, it's about a road trip in a way. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Tomorrow will be the last song of boygenius week. We're going to return to boygenius again as a group. Please make sure to comment, like, subscribe, all that good jazz. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Break it down.
I've said it once, and I'll say it again. What a finale to an album. I'm going to re-record that because I got a Discord notification, and I don't know if it was audible. I've also said before, and we'll say again, that I love a song that has distinct sections, and this has the quiet part of the start, and then it builds up, and then you have the screaming ending. Love that shit. This shit makes me hard. Hello, Seth, you listening? That was a justified reference just for you. Jesus Christ. Ended up with a pair of